Let me give you some of those numbers that Charlie was referencing because they are brutal. Capital Weekly, a nonprofit publication covering California politics, did a poll of 100 or a survey of 1,000 Californians and had them watch clips of Newsom's interview with Charlie. The podcast only made 13% of voters have an improved perception of the governor. 26% said it harmed their perception. 58% said made no difference. Among self-identified liberals, 37% said that the snippets harmed their perception of the governor. So in other words, 26% overall said it harmed their perception of him. And among liberals, 37% said it harmed my perception of the governor. Among those who have very favorable opinions of Gavin Newsom, he lost 16%. So he went from people who liked Gavin Newsom, liberals, saying, I have a very favorable opinion of him. At 46%, it fell to 30%. So Charlie's correct. He's hurting himself with his liberal base by doing these interviews of people like Charlie and Steve and Michael Savage. It's because the thing about Gavin Newsom is he's not very good at pushing back. So he's not going in there and doing battle with the Charlies and the Bannons of the world. He's somewhat obsequious, to be honest with you. I mean, it's very strange because when you listen to him, you would think like he's a moderate, but he's not. On the trans stuff and virtually every other subject, he is as radical as they come. He is another Kamala Harris, but there's something about him. Maybe he is a people pleaser, a vintage politician. When he gets across from these are our war fighters. And truly, like the three I mentioned, these are war fighters in a way, rhetorical war. He feels the need to get their approval. That's how it feels. And he's getting excoriated by the left-wing press as a result. It's actually kind of amusing. We put together a budded soundbite. Take a listen here.
I thought that was one of the most inauthentic things I have seen Gavin Newsom do.
Wow. So you don't believe in the let them hang themselves theory?
No, I'm terribly disappointed. I think you meet energy with energy. And what he did was he showed his pretty white teeth and his cute face and did nothing other than that. And I think it's despicable.
I texted him about that. I'm like, what are you doing? And I used other words. But it wasn't challenging people who are actually famously trollish and say lies and things like that. If you don't push back on lies, they exist.
I always thought he was kind of he'll be whatever he needs to be politician. This is way worse.
Adam Kinzinger.
Look, there are many of us that actually, I'm not saying this for sympathy, but basically sacrificed a career taking on people like Steve Bannon. Democrats are ticked off at him, and there's no Republican that's going to go, that California liberal, I like it. You have Steve Bannon.
Amazing. Adam Kinzinger. I sacrificed a career taking on people like Steve Bannon. Did you really? I don't, that's not how I remember it at all. You got Trump derangement syndrome. You decided to be a anti-J6 warrior. You participated in the J6 committee, which was completely dishonest and a show trial. And Republicans decided you weren't their cup of tea. It was not Steve Bannon's fault. In any event, they're melting down on the left over what Gavin Newsom is doing, which is kind of fun. I mean, it almost makes me want to see it continue, but not really, because unlike Bill Maher, who definitely has a touch of the TDS, but can be fair to Republicans, the way Gavin Newsom governs is truly radical. I mean, there's nothing fair about the way he runs California when it comes to fairness to Republicans. Nothing. He's sided over and over with that lunatic Scott Wiener, the one that Kerry and Britt have been chasing down all over California on his radical trans ideology. I think he's only rejected that guy one time on his most crazy trans agenda. And now he wants to come out and say like, oh yeah, boys shouldn't be in girls' sports. Like Charlie said, well, what have you done about it, you loon? That same guy in Massachusetts who I've been railing on, I can't remember, Seth Moulton. Remember after the Dems lost in this past presidential election, he was like, you know what? We've really gone too far. Boys shouldn't be playing against girls. I have 2 daughters. You go back. He voted against stopping that every single chance he had, he's a U.S. congressman, he voted in favor of allowing boys access to girls' sports and girls' private spaces. Every single chance he had. So it's like, that's great that you can now go on a podcast or issue a press release saying you're on my side, but you govern, you legislate 180 degrees the other way, and I choose to look at what you've done, not your rhetoric when you're across from a conservative or a reporter confronting you with polls that show everybody's on the side of reason, which is to keep these boys out of these sports. You don't go out and buy a life jacket when the boat is already sinking, and you don't buy gold when the economy has already collapsed. Clearly, others are heeding this advice as gold hit all-time highs already this year. It's not too late for you too, and you could have Birch Gold help you diversify into physical gold. Birch Gold specializes in helping you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold for no money out of pocket. One recent 5-star review said Birch Gold was, quote, knowledgeable, helpful, non-pressure. Get your free info kit on gold by texting the letters MK to the number 989898. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, just text MK to 989898 and let the experts at Birch Gold help you secure your future today with gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.